Hi everyone, excuse the mess on my desk. I'm currently working on some art that I am hoping to be selling soon. So at this point it's irrelevant what haul these swatches come from, because originally the haul was in March, but I have pre-filmed a lot of videos up to the beginning of April, so I don't know at this point what's coming out when. So I think it's irrelevant, but just, you know, to let you know where the swatches are coming from, to connect it to the previous haul. But yeah, so there are a few bits and pieces here. We've got 5 different paints from Golden. They basically are all acrylics, but in different bodies. So one is heavy body, which is this one. Then we have a fluid 2, and then 2 high flows. Basically, this one being the heaviest, then the middle ground, and sort of the equivalent of acrylic inks, really, so quite liquid. You'll see the difference in a minute, but I also got another acrylic which I haven't tried before in soft body by Liquitex, which is supposed to be quite similar to the fluid Golden. And I have 3 pencils, so I think I'll start with the pencils. Caran Dash Medium Cadmium Yellow, and it says imitation in the brackets, and basically it's a synthetic version of the cadmium, so it's not the toxic cadmium, and it's a lovely yellow, sunshine, springy, kind of, you know, fresh yellow, a warm yellow, but not a not too warm yellow, a pretty yellow. So the other yellow I had, and the only yellow I had, actually, is it the only yellow? Oh no. So my collection of the Caran Dash is slowly growing. The first one I got is the Golden Bismuth Yellow, and I will just literally swatch it next as a small swatch, just as a comparison, so you can see this one is deeper, this one is brighter. And then the other yellow, a more recent addiction was, or the one previous to that, is Yellow Ochre, and that's even more muted, so you can see. Trying to get a neat circle. So this one is kind of earthier. And then we have the 4th now, which is Indian Yellow, also super beautiful. So you can see they're all quite different. Apologies about the lighting. This is like my least favorite lighting situation to film. I know I keep moaning about it, but it's basically when it seems quite bright and you think it's perfect, but it's very kind of tricky, because then the clouds come in and it just keeps on changing things. So here we go. Really pretty. I'll bring it up a bit closer so you can see. Gorgeous yellow. So I basically have the needed variety of yellows in here, and then we have the Sepia. Now the Sepia was the final color to be added to this combo, or this selection, whatever you want to call it, is by Bonnie Snowden, and this is available on Jackson's as a set of 19. I didn't need to buy it because pretty much I had all the colors except for these ones and the Sepia, so I'll just add it up here. So these colors I have basically added. Pose if you want to see all the colors that come in this set. And let's carry on with this swatch. So the sepia I had before is the sepia 50% and the sepia 10%. And I didn't have the actual sepia. And I didn't get it in the first instance because I thought it might not be a color that I use. But then on a second thought, it's a lovely intense flat dark brown, kind of grayish dark brown, and I decided to get it in the end. So there you go. With Caran d'Ache, always use some sort of super light fan brush. Never use these other brushes because you'll be dragging the little crumbs of pigment, and because they're super pigmented, you'll be basically smudging them on paper. You want something very feathery. This is in fact a maker brush, which you can, these are available. I saw them in Boots to buy. They're not too expensive. I got this one in a Glossy Box subscription, I think, years ago, so I kept it for my art. Okay, so these are the pencils. All right, now let's move on to the acrylic paints, and I probably should start with the thickness. Let's see, I'll use the spatula just to demonstrate the thickness of the paint, so without using water really. Let's do it where? Let's do it up here. So basically, with heavy body, you can create these lovely textural effects that will dry as you leave it. So it's not going to flatten out or spread out because it doesn't have enough moisture in there. And then I just did my nails, so I'm trying to make sure I don't get any paint on there. Although I will be painting after this video. Then a Liquitex soft body acrylic. This is, did I say the color is Titan Mars Pale? And oops, so you can open it like that if you wish, but I don't want that. I want this one. So here's the little nozzle, yellow orange azo. So straight away you can see it's softer, as in doesn't have the thickness. It's also transparent, this particular color. It's not to say that every single one out of them is transparent. Here we go. You can still create that texture with this paint, but not as thickly as this one. And like I said, this is a very opaque color and this one is not, so keep that in mind. These behave lovely with water as well. You can water it out to make it look, in fact, let me get some water. So if you just use a bit of water, you can really water it out like that. You could do a little bit with this one, but not as much. So I'll just try a little bit. There you go. Okay, I'm going to title those and then we will move on to these babies. Okay, so as much as I love heavy body acrylics and all sorts of body acrylics, I find so much more joy with using these ones, the fluid and the high flow. So in fact, I have quite a few of the high flows already. These were just 2 more colors, and these were the first fluid acrylics that I tried, and I have to say, absolutely love them. In some instances you can get the same color in different bodies, but not in all of them. So I'll show you a quick catalog. So again, you can get these on Jackson's, very useful to have in your arsenal and in your studio, because if you need to buy a color, instead of guessing it on the screen of your computer, these are, you know, the best way to go about, because these are hand painted. So take for instance Titan Mars Pale. It only comes in a heavy body. And then there's this little signs here at the bottom. You can see heavy body. Then there is open, which I haven't actually, that's the only one I haven't tried. Open is, it really takes long to dry. Generally, I'm not into that. I like things to dry quite quickly, so I can move on to the next layer of things. Open allows you to keep on pushing the paint for quite a while and change things around. So maybe I'll try one color just to see how I get on, but I'm really happy with the others so far. Then there is the fluid and the high flow. And wherever you see kind of all four signs, it means that this paint, or this color rather, is available in all of the four bodies, but not always. So basically it's sort of really helpful to look around this and find what works for you. I believe at this point I've got all of my colors that I really love. There is one or two that still have my attention, which is the quinacridone nickel acer gold and quinacridone burnt orange. But to be honest with you, this one is very similar to transparent red iron oxide, with the exception of that this one is a little bit more, I think, reddish. There's one more that I also find very beautiful, is the transparent brown iron oxide. Super pretty. And then I can't see the sepia in here for some reason. I felt like I looked quite intensely to try and find it, but yeah. So other than that, I think I have all of the colors. In my kind of opinion so far, I feel like the golden is a superior paint to work with, but that is just to work the way I do with it, so I get on really well with it. I like Liquitex as well, but maybe it's the colors or something like that that I am more gravitating towards golden. Okay, let's carry on. So Indian yellow hue. Now this would be best used with a brush, so because you can see it's quite liquidy when it comes out. And look at this. Oh, it's just the color that I love. Oh my god, do you get excited by colors? Let me know in the comment box, or in the comments rather, not the box. Absolutely love it. So you can really create a really washed out look, but it can be intensified quite a bit. It's very silky, it's very sort of fluidy and soft, but not as fluid as the other one that you will see in a minute. Here is a red oxide, and this one is transparent, this one is opaque. They're all light fast, so if you want to create artwork and sell the original work, you can be very confident that these are good paints. So you can see this one is really opaque, but even in that case you can still use the tiniest amount of the paint just to get it to look like watercolor. So this paint, the fluid paint, is not so good to create textural effects. I find that it has this tendency to spread out a little bit as it dries. It will stay put where you really lay it thickly. But what will happen in general is that it will just be more glossier. I'm trying to think of any examples if I have to show you. I don't know if this is a good example because this is not a paper, this is the Teof palette, but you can see here it's not, you know, it's more kind of glossy rather than textural when it dries. So we'll see, we'll look at it closer once it's fully dry. Right, so let's do the golden high flow now. The color is transparent yellow iron oxide. So these are super liquidy and quite a little bit messy to work with. So you can see now it's literally like a drop of paint, and then when you squeeze the nozzle, quite often a bit of paint comes up a bit, and I tend to get it on my fingers. So if you like to work clean, just be aware of that. So straight away you can see it's pretty much like an ink. Both of these are very, very close to, if you wanted to create that watercolor effect with acrylics, this would be sort of, both of them would be a good candidate. And then finally we've got the sepia in high flow as well. And I guess by now you can see a definite color palette here. So it's all kind of looking nicely and harmonious, nothing is screaming out. So this is another must-have. I mean, as far as sepia goes, I mean, just look at it. Isn't this just beautiful? This color has so much dimension to it, and again, you can push it towards dark and light. I'd say it's quite a warm sepia. So if you look at this sepia, quite cool toned, this is a warm sepia and definitely a must-have. I am pretty sure this is one of the colors I will use up pretty quickly. It's gorgeous. Okay, let me title them and then I'll come back and show you the dried paints and swatches. These are almost dry, so I think maybe a couple of minutes and I'll be done. Meanwhile, I thought I'll quickly show you something here. So this is the yellow orange azo that I had in acrylic ink by Liquitex. So basically they're exactly the same color, just in different bodies. So this one is the acrylic ink and this is the soft body acrylics. And here is the difference. So here is well, this whole thing is a mock-up for a color palette of some artwork that I started, and you know, you can achieve this lovely texture with it, which you can't achieve with the acrylic ink. And although they're the same color, you can do different things with them. So if I go over, you can see I can layer it over certain things. So this is oil stick, which hasn't dried fully yet. So it's not really, it's just beading up on top of it, but you can layer it on top of the other artwork and it really looks like watercolor. What I find a little bit difficult with the Liquitex acrylic ink versus, for example, high flow, is that when I try to achieve this, the ink shoots in so quickly that the color eventually becomes pretty much the same. So I don't get this lovely light to stay where I want it to stay. So then I need to kind of extend it and pull it out more and more to get to the lighter color. And this color will just keep on pushing. And at the end, when it all starts to dry, this end will still become darker. So the only way to deal with that is to dry this fairly quickly once you layered the water over it. So I prefer working with the high flows for that reason, to create this lovely effect, because you can see even now on camera this is sort of pushing slowly into here and I'm having like a flat wash of that color. And here obviously, although it's the same color and I could potentially water it out, it's got more density to it. So if I just squeeze a little drop of it, so here it is. I can create texture if I wanted to, but I can also water it out a bit. And with this paint, the soft body, it doesn't move as quick as the acrylic ink, so you could achieve this diversity more. You can see the color is slightly different. It's more orangey here, so it's not exactly the same thing, but they just behave differently. And then, you know, it kind of looks similar to that, but if I wanted more density, basically use like a spatula, something that doesn't have water in there, and just create texture like so. You can push it around, and you know, even if I go over the pencils, I can still see some of them. But keep in mind, this is a transparent color, that's why. So here we go. I build up a lovely texture. This will dry into here, so it will darken slightly as it has here, and you will have this lovely texture on there. So I hope this kind of gave you a better understanding of the Liquitex acrylic inks versus the high flows and versus their yellow, their soft body acrylics. Okay, I think we are pretty much there. And I just wanted to now give you a nice close-up. So we've got medium. Let me see what I can point with. I'll do the brush. Medium cadmium yellow imitation by Caran, Luminance Indian yellow and sepia. Then we have fully dried textural heavy body acrylic, which you can see. This is Titan Mars Pale by Golden Heavy Body, and then we have Liquitex Soft Body, which I just demonstrated here as well. Again, dry to this texture, and it's yellow orange azo. Moving on to the bottom colors, we've got the two golden fluid acrylics in Indian yellow hue and red oxide. So this one is, yeah, fully dry, and if you can see, it's got a little bit of a reflection there. This bit right here is not dry fully yet, but all of this is very heavily laid, and you can see the reflection right there. Same thing here, so it's not really glossy, but it does have a light reflection as opposed to a matte kind of paper that you can see on the other areas. And here golden high flow acrylics in transparent yellow iron oxide, which is like a yellow ochre type of a color, and then sepia. If I had to pick two of my favorites from the bottom line, is the sepia and Indian yellow hue. Just super beautiful. Indian yellow in general is my, you know, top favorite yellows. So yeah, you can see that. Yeah, so that's the, I think as a color palette, it's super, super pretty, very balanced. I didn't aim for a color palette, but these were the colors that I wanted to add for my artwork that I'm working on. So this is where I was going with it. Everything dries quite quickly, and depending how thickly you lay the high flows and the fluid acrylics, but yeah, they all dry really nicely. I'd say obviously the heavy body dries much faster than the high flows or the fluids, because it has simply less moisture in there, so less water, and therefore it dries faster. So that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed it. The color palette is so beautiful looking at the screen now. Let me know what your favorite colors are from here, or whether, you know, something kind of you'd like to try, and I will see you soon. Thanks for watching.